What's going on, everyone? So today we're going to take a look at Faraday Future. And in short, Faraday Future is an EV luxury car company that's looking to dominate the space in the next few years. And if this is your first time on my channel and you want to see more updates on the market or learn about innovative companies, then definitely go down below and hit that subscribe button. Now let's take a look at Faraday Future. So here on the website, you can see from the visuals the car and what it looks like, and I'll deep dive into their presentation to show you more of the actual features on there. But they recently went public with this SPAC called PSAC, or Property Solutions, and currently the price is trading at $16 right now, and the market isn't looking too good for the past few days, but obviously we'll have to wait and see how it performs. But for this focus, we're just going to look at the PSAC stock for today, and then I'll look into the actual presentation for Faraday Future in a second as well to just show you their numbers, their projections. Now, they're currently prototyping and building out the cars, and there's technically not an actual production line happening where you can actually go ahead and start buying their actual cars. That's something that they plan on releasing in the next few months. But for now, it's still reserving and they still have to create the product. So just keep that in mind. But you can see here, this market cap's 419 mil right now. And just taking the 6-month chart, we can see that it pretty much stayed below 10. And then the recent announcements, and now we're back to where it's at today. So that's pretty much the stock right now that they merged together with. And if you wanted to see more details on this, feel free to do it. All you have to do is just type in PS stock. And you can just type merger as well on Google. And then basically you can see here pretty much all these details. So this happened a few weeks ago already, but go ahead and check that out if you want to see the behind the scenes of how things went. Now here I am, I just brought up their presentation. And if you want to see this, you can just go on their website and they have an actual post right here on the front page when it says they actually have the merger right there. And just click on learn more and it brings you over to the actual website, and then you can just click on the presentation link here. Now, we can scroll down, and I'm not going to go into every single detail, but I'm going to just highlight some cool things I thought that were interesting to see. And then after that, we can just go ahead and talk more about them. But here is the current team right now. And we have this current CEO, and this is actually a new CEO. They used to have a previous founder, and there was some bad history with this company starting off. So definitely you can look into that if you are interested, and just note this video is just for educational purposes. This is not financial advice, but make sure you do your own research before making any investment. But we have here Dr. Karsten Bretfeld, and you can see here used to be founder, chairman, CEO of Byton, vice president and head of BMW i8 program as well. So in terms of the automotive space, I mean, he worked on the BMW i8. So he definitely has some insights in terms of that nature. You can see here other people on the team as well, and they have a better presentation slide that shows more details about that too. And they can see here over the right in terms of the actual structure. So you can see SPAC shareholders 6.9% here, and then SPAC sponsors 2.1%, and then rollover equities at 50.3%. And you see the PIPE shareholders is at 23.5%, and then they have debt converted equity at 17.2%. And then you can see here this valuation that they state right there. And let's go down to the actual highlights. And I want to show you more of the actual car's interior and specs on that, because you can read the numbers and everything on your own. But I want to show you just some of my thoughts on what I think about the actual car. But just in short, they've actually invested more than $2 billion to date. They have already a few hundred employees. And currently it states that it can go 0 to 60 miles per hour in 2.4 seconds. And there's actually a video with the well-known YouTuber Marquise Brown. And this was a few years back, but it was a prototype version. Just keep that in mind. But it was extremely fast. And I believe the Tesla is still slightly faster, but they have a chart showing the comparison. So we can actually take a look at that too in a second. But here just more of the design and everything. And I want to show mainly what the highlights is right now. So here they're showing their portfolio. So they have 378 miles range, which is slightly lower than most of the competing EV companies. It seems like most of them have 400 plus. Some even have 500, like Lucid projecting 500 plus. Then you can see here their additional prototypes here. And they have essentially a different business model, which you'll see in a second once I get to that. But let's just go here. So here's a more detailed view of the team, right? So again, And here's the current CEO, and you can see obviously the same previous experience, BMW IA program. Then we have additional guys over here, and then we can have a guy part of global executive GM. So we have GM over here, and then we have Maserati in terms of the sales guys right there, and then we have another BMW, and then Motorola. And you can see here they have some big names in part of this team. It's not just some random people. And then you can see here additional people under here as well, which if you want to go deep dive and individually search all these guys and girls, feel free to do that. But I want to show more of the actual car, right? So like you see, the 378, not as far range as the others. 0 to 60, so these are extremely fast based off how they promoting it. How horsepower, I mean, look, 1050. And this interesting part is it says over 100 inches of high resolution viewing areas across 11 displays, which is quite interesting. And let's take a look right here. So they've done driving tests, drove a few hundred miles. But this part, I think that's the most unique thing about this car versus the others is the way the interior is, right? Because the outside, I mean, most of these can look fairly similar. Maybe, add a few different designs and logos. But the interior is where this company, at least the ones I've seen, it looks completely different. Now, could these other companies easily replicate this? Sure, definitely they could. But check this out. So we have this massive little computer iPad looking design right here, and dashboard pretty much, except it's in the center. And then the steering wheel, I mean, typical steering wheel. And then here's the part that I think is like personally from a consumer standpoint, I would want to have one of these cars. From an investing standpoint, this is something that I'll go into more my thoughts in a second, but there's definitely a lot of risk involved, especially with companies that haven't actually started selling, let alone producing yet. So we can see here, this stuff, like these chairs look super comfy. And the craziest part is that seat actually lies back, reclines back, and you can pretty much just sit here and as if you're just sleeping inside of the car. And it looks like this car, I'm assuming this chair, it rotates a 180 degrees so that it's technically not in your way, or maybe it will be actually like folding over. I can't really see in this image, but I've seen other cars where the both of the seats, like the fronts and the back, like the front ones, you could actually rotate it like this in a way. That's what it kind of looks like here. That way you actually have more room to extend your feet. I would have to check again and double check the videos to see. But from this view actually right here, I mean, this looks super cozy. These look like, like movie chairs almost inside of a car vehicle. And it's something that I personally, as a consumer, like I said, I'd rather just sit back and just chill. And imagine you're like a long road trip or just imagine you're like in an Uber or someone's driving you around. Like this looks super comfy. So I haven't seen that many cars that have been promoting this. I've seen like specific prototypes from different companies that did something kind of like this. But in terms of like mass producing it out to consumers for a reasonable price, that's something that I've yet to see, at least right now. So that's the thing I really liked about the interior. Like it's amazing. And but here's what's really interesting. So we can see horsepower, they're leading it. But from 0 to 60, they're second place in Tesla's currently at the top right now. And they do sell that as a sales points. And it's cool. Definitely, it's a cool thing. But it seems like that's like one of their actual marketing moves. But in terms of like usability and actual like use case, I think it depends on the person. Because obviously Tesla has different models. So if you wanted the super fast speed, you can get the Model S. But for here, it seems like this is their main focus right now, at least for the FF91. And here is my current critiques on this, right? So speed, they say, 0 to 60, 2+ seconds, 3, whatever. And I feel like unless you're trying to race somebody or you just like have to floor it every time you're like a stoplight, I don't think it really matters too much, right? Especially people, imagine you have Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Bugattis. It's like they're not flooring it every single time they are at a stop or something, right? It's like it doesn't really make sense for the average person. Like that's cool to have and it's dope to see how fast it is, but like after a few months of having the car, like it's just a feature, right? It's not really feasible to the average Joe unless you're like racing someone, right? But it's cool though, definitely to see. It's fast, definitely. But I think the biggest factors, especially if you want to get to the masses and for them to actually make sense of using your product, is one, the actual range, and then the charging speed, because that at the end of the day, cars are meant to go from point A to point B, and if the EVs can go X amount faster than like typical gasoline vehicles and it's way cheaper, then that's such a big selling point compared to just like exactly how fast it goes, right? Now, if you're trying to buy like a super fast sports car, yeah, that makes sense. But you can see the range; it's not as high as Tesla, and also Lucid. Technically, they're not on this list, but it's about the same 400 plus mile range or more. So if they can increase that range in the future, then that's definitely going to be interesting. But it's still decent for like people living in inner cities. If you're going traveling cross country and all that, it's not the most viable option. But I mean, it can get you a few hours without having to stop. But here's what's interesting is their actual charge time. So it says 25 minutes. Again, filling up with the gas takes you 5 minutes max or less. You can even go inside the shop, come back. In 5 minutes, you're pretty much done. Here, 25, 24, and then we got 15. So I think for the average person, the charge time, if they can decrease that to maybe 15, 10, that's going to be absolutely insane. I feel like whoever can do that first, that company is just going to dominate everyone. The range, I mean, the range is doable right now. And then I think access to charging stations, because Tesla is already dominating that right now. So that's definitely something to consider. But the thing that's different is all of this stuff can be improved. This can be optimized in the future. So that's cool for now. But I think one thing is the actual cost of this product, right? So right now, you can see more details on like what their technology is and just the overall internals. But they're here stating right here. So it states Q1 2022. These are going to be starting at 180K, 180,000. And then after Q4 is going to be 100,000, right? So think about that. So you can check out the price. The lowest it looks like is by basically 4+ years from now. You'll get down to like 45K, give or take. But it seems like their premium models, look at this, 180 plus $1,000, right? So like, who is their target customer? That's something to we'll find out. But I feel like the price is extremely high versus the competing companies. Like Lucid has their price range starting at 70 upwards 160 plus. And I mean, they do go farther. Speed, I don't think it's as fast, at least right now. But in reality, are you going to pay an extra, 100 plus K, 80K, etc., for essentially an EV car that maybe just reclines the seat back, right? If you're just trying to buy a car to go to work or just, do normal tasks, it really doesn't make sense on paper. So I'm still kind of bearish in the sense that the price is extremely high, but the overall use of it and the differentiating factors isn't as major, I'd say, to offset the total like difference in price versus competing companies. So I think if you are just balling out, you have plenty of cash, and you just want to have like a nice luxury feel, then yeah, you could just buy this. But again, by 2025, there's gonna be so many EV car companies out there. It's like who is actually going to be winning the space right now, right? Tesla is currently in the lead in the States. China has many other companies they're working on. NIO is definitely one of the competitors. We got XPeng too, etc. So I would say it's a risky play in the sense that their projections are pretty much multiple years from now versus other companies have already started selling, let alone been selling thousands of cars. So that's something to keep in mind. And then we can continue to scroll down. I want to show you, they have, I believe, a facility or manufacturing slide. So you can see their patents. So one thing is interesting is they have multiple patents on their technology. But at the end of the day, it's the patents are just patents, right? They're not actually producing, they're not selling cars. It really doesn't matter what patents you have, because the companies who are building their own product and have their own technology, if they're selling millions and millions of cars, it's like, that's cool, you have your own tech, but if they're selling something of equal or similar value, then it doesn't really, I think, doesn't really make a difference, right? So you can see here, this is the main thing. This is the thing that kind of kept me on the risk edge, is because here their production capacity says only 10,000 vehicles a year. Now, obviously, that's way less than even Lucid's. They have the 34K capacity back in Arizona. And this company, 10,000, yet obviously the cars are more expensive, sure. But again, we have to see demand. Like, is this actually going to be something people want to spend 100K plus for cars like this? Or they just pay for the cheaper car that's the exact same concept, right? And then also, this is not even set yet. It says factory complete T plus 9 months. And then you can see the interesting thing is they have another factory that's stated for 2023. So if you're watching this video today, that's like 2 years from now. And this can produce 270K vehicles, which is dope on paper. It looks amazing. But are you going to sit here and wait 2 years for that to happen? That's up to you. That's your decision to make. So I'd say the just the timeline they have right now is not the most it's not the best in terms of my opinion, because there's so many companies right now already selling cars, producing thousands and thousands every month. So I just want to see how they can keep up. Maybe I'll be completely wrong in the future. They're just destroying the market and they're killing it. But until then, we'll have to wait and see, right? Because that's something you always have to consider, is the timeline. And will they be too late, or will Tesla and any other EV company that's already winning just straight dominate the space? And you can see here just more details on, how they actually work and everything. But there's one thing that's interesting that I would definitely recommend you check out. So first, let me just look at the here's the visual of the cars. Looks cool, pretty dope. And you can check out their financials and everything here. And they state, let me see if I can see it, by basically 2025 they're gonna be 21.4 bill. So I mean, that's a big number. Like, it's huge, right? So again, if they can hit those numbers, then yeah, this company will do pretty well. It's pretty solid. But these are just predictions. There's no guarantees of anything. And the thing is, it's there's not even people currently using the product. So there's terms of safety. There's so many risk factors to consider for a car company that have yet to be proven. Tesla, I mean, you've seen so many different videos of Tesla's autopilot. They've been testing, like, Tesla has so much data that is insane. So in terms of that too, that's another thing to remember, is safety. If you're not safe, it doesn't matter how fast your car is. It doesn't matter how cool it looks. It doesn't matter what's inside. It doesn't all that stuff doesn't matter until you actually find out, is it actually safe to drive around. So I haven't seen anything yet, because obviously you have to produce the actual production vehicles for that to actually happen. But just consider some of those things here. It looks dope. It'll be cool to be fun to drive in, and it'll be fun to ride around with. But at least right now, we have to just wait and see. And then this one last thing at the bottom. But here's some risk factors. So there's like a huge amount of risk factors here that you just want to read, because I feel like a lot of people see the product, it looks dope, it looks awesome, but like, just read just any of these lines, right? If we're unable to attract and or retain key employees or highly qualified personnel, like, there's so many risk factors that it's basically saying, like, hey, there's a lot of risk involved. Make sure you read this, because there's no guarantees of anything, right? And we can even see here, just like, there's so many different factors. And just read literally just like a couple lines of this, and it'll make you, I'd say, double think your ideas, and you wouldn't just think from emotion. You'll think more of just from logic. So again, part looks dope. Hope it succeeds. I definitely would love to ride into one of these cars and check it out. But aside from that, this is just my overall review and thoughts on Faraday Future, otherwise known as the PSAC SPAC stock. Aside from that, if you made it this far in the video and you want to get 2 free stocks valued up to $1,850, then go ahead and click the first link in the description below. And then once you sign up for an account and deposit $100 minimum or more, you'll receive 2 free stocks valued up to $1,850. And if you use my referral link, I receive 2 free stocks as well, and that benefits both of us. And aside from that, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.